how to evaluate tetration problems like 2 teterated to 3, okay? So let's go evaluate 10 teterated to 2. Okay? Let me explain it with the variable first. X teterated to Y. Hold on, I don't know what just happened. X teterated to Y equals X raised to the X raised to the X a bunch of times Y times. Okay? So this actually equals 10 raised to the 10, which equals 10 billion. Okay? But what if it's 10 divided to 3? What is it actually equal to? This actually equals 10 raised to the 10 raised to the 10. Okay? So, we're going to evaluate this way. From up to down. Okay? Which equals 10 raised to the 10 billionth power. Which equals 1 followed by 10 billion zeros. Okay, I'll just make it shorter. Okay, so which equals 1e plus 10 billion. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so this actually equals 1e plus 10 billion. Okay? So that's it for those two problems, okay? So let's go do another one. What is 2 divided to 3? This actually equals 2 raised to the 2 raised to the 2 3 times. We gotta evaluate this way. 2 squared is 4. 2 raised to the 4th power equals 16. Okay? And then 2 divided to 4 equals 2 raised to the 2 raised to the 2 raised to the 2. We gotta evaluate this way. 2 squared is 4. 2 raised to the 4th power is 16. 2 raised to 16 power. You can break that up into 2 raised to the 8th power times 2 raised to the 8th because 8 plus 8 is 16. But if you evaluate 2 raised to the 8th, we can break that down into 2 raised to the 6th times 2 squared. 2 raised to the 6th power equals 64. And then this actually equals 64 times 4. And then 64 times 4. We gotta do it in this way. 4 times 4 is 16. And then 4 times 6 is 24. Plus 1, which is 25. So this actually equals 256 times 256. And we gotta do in standard form, okay? So let's go do 256. So 6 times 6 is 36. I might not have enough room for that. I might not have enough room for that, but this actually equals. Now let me put it over here. How about that? We said it was 256 times 256, right? And then we're gonna multiply using the standard algorithm. 6 times 6 is 36. I don't know what happened over here. So 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 5 is 30 plus 3 is 33. And then 6 times 2 is 12 plus 3, which is 15. And then we gotta cancel, or you gotta delete that. Okay? And then we gotta put a 0 because 50 has 1 0. And then 5 times 6 is 30. And then 5 times 5 is 25 plus 3, which is 28. And then 5 times 2 is 10 plus 2 is 12. And then we gotta place 2 zeros. We gotta delete this also because 200 has 2 zeros in it. And then 2 times 6 is 12. 2 times 5 is 10 plus 1, which is 11. And then 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1, which is 5. Now we gotta add 6 plus 0 is 6. Now 3 for this one. 5 plus 8 is 13. 13 plus 2 is 15. Now 2 plus 2 is 4 plus 1, which is 5. Now 1 plus 5 is 6. This actually equals 65,536. Yep. They can grow very big, very large. Okay? So, let's go do, I don't know what to do. Let's go do 3 tetrated to 2. 3 tetrated to 2 equals 3 raised to the third power 2 times, which equals, that's supposed to be a 3. 3 times 3 times 3 equals 9 times 3, which is 27. That's when you don't know exponentiation. Exponentiation is repeated multiplication. Let's go do another one. What is 3 tetrated to 3? This actually equals 3 tetrated to 3 raised to the 3 raised to the 3. Basically 3 cubed. We gotta evaluate this way. We know that 3 cubed is 27, right? And 3 raised to 27 equals, if I type it in a calculator, it's going to be very large. So if you do a calculator, it's going to be 7625, something like that, but it's going to be trillion or billion. So yeah, that's the answer. So let's go do 4. Let's go do I don't know what happened over here. I don't know what happened over here. I'm home. Okay. So let's go do another example with 4s. What is 4 tetrated to 2? This actually equals 4 raised to the 4th power, which equals 4 times 4 times 4 times 4, 4 times, right? We know that 4 times 4 is 16, and then another one is 16. We gotta set it up in standard algorithm of multiplication. Now 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 1 is 6. 6 plus 3 is 9, and then this cancels. 0. 1 plus 6, 1 times 6 is 6, and then 1 times 1 is 1. We gotta add 96 plus 160. This actually equals, now 6 plus 0 is 6. Now 9 plus 6 is 15. This actually equals 256. That's it, guys. Bye.